This is Radically Alive Women's Edgecast.
Hello and welcome to Radically Alive Women Edgecast, Bishop Reid.
Hello, thank you for having me, Julia.
I love how I can source women to interview and speak with through the wisdom of other women. So a common friend has recommended I speak with you because she really believes in your service in the world, and also just she has this like, yeah, this is a woman you need to interview for Radically Alive Women Edgecast. And when I reached out to you, I appreciate your full yes. And the topic that was brewing in you, I was like, I had a full yes to, which is the cycle of self-doubt and confusion and how the women's underworld plays into the whole, yeah, into this game. But before we go there, I'd love to hear a couple of sentences or some words from you about who are you right now? Who are you as the woman that shows up here?
Hmm. Who am I right now? I am in this process, Julia, of, I'm going to say, reclaiming my fire. And in the past, I thought I was in my full passion and fire for life. And I think it goes in waves like a roller coaster. But Bishop right now is, yeah, I'm rediscovering this fire that doesn't burn out. This part of me that is, yes, is traveling. I'm nomadic right now. I'm in Cape Town, and next month I'll be in Portugal. But really also been in a committed relationship now for a year, and I'm discovering this part of me that still gets to burn while I'm burning in a relationship. And when I say burning, I mean this fire that gets to experience what it's like to have a beautiful partner, and for really the first time in my life, a teammate, like a true teammate, and also still doing me, still really doing me. And so I'm running an online business at the moment as well, and that's taking me to my edges every day. Online programs, and yeah, just changing with the online landscape and craving more in-person work too, and also playing more. When we first started this space, it was like this part of me that really is inviting more fun into my life. Like later today, I'm having a paddleball tournament with some friends, and just like getting more into sport again and playing, and not taking myself so seriously, and also taking the work I do very seriously in a way. Like it's fun and I'm committed to it. So there there's a fire burning that I'm rediscovering, and one that I don't desire to burn out any longer, because that was an old part of me that just burned really, really hard, and then it was out for months. Couldn't really do much. So I think that's the best way I can describe it at the moment.
Yeah, thank you. What I was inspired to hear about your specific offer, it's like you offer somatic leadership and you offer work and coaching for women and trainings for women. That is that bring in like business coaching, but bring in the nervous system. So bring in really this grow in line with your nervous system. So fear-based work, breath work, other somatic practices, I imagine,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems to be a really unique flavor that you bring. And I would love to hear around the topic of self-doubt and of confusion, how that plays into that also.
Yeah.
And what if, yeah, yeah, what comes alive in you, or what have you discovered around this topic of self-doubt in women, maybe your clients, but also in your life, and how that plays? I think that also might play into this whole burnout topic of burning out with a passion.
Big time. What I have discovered is that for myself and majority of the women that I work with, is that as a as I was really rediscovering my aliveness, and when I say that, this kind of life on my terms, on who I want to hang out with, the type of way I want to spend my energy, reclaiming my aliveness, it I realized that I've discovered that the doubt gets its highest. The doubt and the confusion, right as I'm about to step into another level of radical aliveness in my work, in my relating spaces, the doubt and confusion are like all-time high. And what I've discovered, and also in other women and guiding other women, is that usually in connection with the nervous system, this typically takes two paths, this doubt, this self-doubt and confusion, depending on the nervous system state. And without going into a bunch of science around polyvagal theory and all this stuff, typically takes, and I'm sure that women can identify this in themselves, is one route is I'm so afraid and confused that I am constantly on the move. I'm constantly going, I'm constantly trying to get things to work. I'm busy, very busy, and I barely have time to breathe. And there's probably like a little anxiety in the chest that's constantly below the surface. That's hard for women to fully breathe because they're doing things all the time to try to combat that doubt and confusion, which is really the fear of, oh my God, I'm about to reach my next level, but I'm so afraid. So I'm just gonna keep going and keep going. And it's just this never enough cycle. And over time, if a woman stays in that too long, holding that kind of fight or flight energy and that doubt and confusion kind of tornado, it goes into the second version that I see often women in, especially the women that I work with, entrepreneurs, and I've met this state myself many times. And maybe you can also relate to this, Julia, that this freeze starts to take over. This doubt and confusion that quiets the voice, but while there's a lot going on up here, there's really nothing coming out of here in conversation, creatively with a woman, where it's so much a cycling that this kind of functional freeze, but also sometimes not functional freeze, starts to take over the nervous system. And we really, really want to do this thing, and we can't. Like, we can't, and we just keep talking about it. And it looks different for everyone. Like, sometimes freeze for me looks like, editing a sales page for an idea for a program that I have for months, maybe a year. And I'm frozen. I can't get it out there. So these are these two ways that I've found that this doubt and the way that a woman confuses herself, because there's an initial seed that comes in when I have clarity of something I want to offer or something I want to say in a group or with my partner. And then it's like, oh, wait, but is that my stuff? Oh, wait, but am I making this up? Oh, wait, but I don't think I'm ready for that. And then depending on the way your nervous system is wired, it'll either go into this hypervigilance, like doing kind of chaoticness, or it'll go into this inner chaos, but it's more frozen of like, I can't make a move. So that's kind of how it connects to the nervous system. And I see it the most right when a woman is on her edge of really radically doing something different, whether it be in her work or in her relating life.
Reminds me of a realization I had not long ago, where it's like the words that came for me, and I think it fits to what you just described, is that at the edge is where the monsters live.
Yes.
This is where the monsters that we may have been told, if you go to the edge of the world, you'll fall off and die, and the monsters will eat you. And now we've internalized them, and so when we get to our edge, these internal monsters come and just try to eat us up, so that we don't go to the edge. And what to do instead is then the question.
Yeah, what to do instead is your question.
Yeah, what else is possible if we're not either going into hyperactivity and just overriding this fear response with actionism, which leads nowhere. It leads to burnout, or like freezing and not actually processing anything, not changing anything, but also not creating anything. What else have you found there?
Yeah. So the phrase that comes to me that I learned in my trauma and somatics training several years ago was, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And the first word that comes through when you're saying what else is possible, no matter if you're freezing or if you're in hypervigilance, is flow. Because even if like you're in freeze, which is typically like, what do you mean that's too slow when I'm frozen and I can't move and this perfectionism is taking over and whatnot. But actually what brings someone out of freeze, a nervous system, not just out of freeze, because we also need to understand that these responses are intelligence in the body. And these monsters are protectors, right? And it's an intelligence in the body that's saying, hey, like, it's not safe there, right? It's based off of something maybe we've experienced in the past. So one pathway that I see a lot of women do, especially the kind of the women that I attract are very, and I'm sure you as well, like are really self-aware and they love going into their stuff and improving. But the challenge with that is that, at least for me as well, is I started to overanalyze all of the reasons why I was freezing and why, and all this must be from this. And then it just keeps me in this loop of like analyzing myself, which is the same thing of that stops me from creating the thing I want to create. I'm analyzing it, but then I just start analyzing myself. So bringing in slow movements of, just because what happens is that the overwhelm takes over and the nervous system is like, this is too much. This is too much. And even when we're doing too much, it's like, it's too much. So these ways to presence our bodies instead of going into this, like figuring it out, every single time I'm moving through a stuckness, the phrase that I put on the top of my journal every day, stay in your body, stay in your body. So the more ways that I can stay in my body when I'm going through a difficult time, or even difficult time, but when I'm on the edge, when I'm really on the edge and all the stuff is happening, the best thing I can do is stay in my body. And that's really what I help other women do. And what I mean by that is doing things like rage work, for example. Rage work is such an amazing way to stay in the body, to ground, because what's happening up here is all this energy is, I'm scared, and there's so much mental energy when we're in freeze or also in fight or flight. So what we want to do is, I describe it as I help women take the elevator down from here and come down into the body. And then fear can actually naturally move through the nervous system. That's actually what it's meant for. Like, our body is designed to feel fear, but most of us as women just bring that fear up into, and men as well, actually bring this fear up into the head because it doesn't feel safe to let fear actually run through the nervous system. And so the more body work that you and I can do when we're on the edge, the better, because that's going to help us ground all of the creative energy that's actually craving to go somewhere, craving to land more in the body and stop living up here. And that's what puts us into freeze. So staying in the body, slowing down, and starting with small movements, and really kind of taking these steps to break down the overwhelm. I find as women, we're so ambitious. I am so ambitious. And especially when I have a passion and I'm like, this is it. And I get this ambition, but what happens is that it's not totally embodied. It's up here. So the more I can spread this energy out, the better for me and the better for my creation. And that's when the fire doesn't burn so quickly. So yeah, these are a few things, like slowing. I mean, there's lots also, of course, there's lots of techniques, right? Like breath and, different somatic ways to actually talk to the body and talk to the wisdom. And instead of going into the stories about it, like, this is kind of the essence of what I help women do. Go out of the stories about the stuckness and the confusion and start to reconnect to the wisdom, the feeling wisdom of it. Okay, what is it protecting us from? Mixed with landing in the body, movement, playfulness, and breath. And to this day, breath is still my medicine. It's my favorite tool, because you cannot bypass anything with the breath. So yeah, breath work is probably my number one as well, in addition to some anger work to ground.
Yeah, and I know also from myself how I can leave my body from fear, mostly fear driven, or I'm feeling something and then I might not want to feel it. And so I go into the head and through my head, like really leaving the body energetically. So there's only the mind working its way. And really total respect for my mind. Yeah, also like this is a survival strategy in all women. That's in men, as you say, may have a similar thing. But it's, yeah, okay, this has been necessary to some extent, and something else is possible now. And I'm curious what you've experienced and discovered about this as a specific, maybe as a specific survival strategy of women to leave their bodies. I have a sense that there is something in a patriarchal context where that has been a really clever strategy, or a really important magic even, to be able to do that.
Yeah, big time. I have a very specific memory of actually coming back to my body. And I don't think it happened once. It's a series of events. And even still today, it's like this desire to go out. And I think it's a continual process. It's a continual process of coming back, almost like a meditation. When the mind wanders, you come back. But what I didn't get about meditation is that, it's not just a meditation. It's meditation, coming back again and again. Yeah, I think to answer your question, there's always a really, really smart reason that at one point we left. And even not in just this lifetime, in past lifetimes, and our ancestors, like it was not at all. I mean, it's still in this world today. It's not necessarily the world is not a safe place for women. I mean, there's so much happening in the world right now. And yeah, and there are many ways that it is a lot safer for people, women of privilege as well, right? So to recognize that those moments of why we left, I find that it only actually happens when ironically, when a woman feels safe enough to acknowledge why she left in the first place. And she won't remember why she left until she feels safe enough, until her nervous system is, I'm hesitant to say regulated, because I feel like regulated nervous system is a really big buzz right now. But when her nervous system it spends a certain amount of time in regulation, and meaning her body feels safe enough to remember some of these traumas, these contractions that happened in maybe her past, or maybe in an ancestor's past, whatever you believe, it's epigenetics. Like our body carries memory for up to 14 generations. So that's 14 generations of ancestral memory that we carry, which is pretty insane when you feel into what was happening 14 generations ago. It's a lot of survival. So it goes so beyond what our nervous systems and the water in the cellular memory in our body carries. And this is why I also say I think the greatest gift a woman can give her, not just herself, but her family, her community, is to be a safe container for herself, to learn about her own nervous system, but to go there, and that from there, the deeper healing can happen. It was a friend of mine. I used to lead darkness retreats, and it's something I still feel very passionately about. I used to lead, and that was one initiation process that I would help men and women go through, and bring in somatic tools to help them through that process. And basically for anywhere from 3 to 7, 14, sometimes 14 days. And one man even went in for 49 days, and I was guiding him through this process to go into this
does
cave.
That mean yeah, okay, yeah. We say something about like literally sitting in the darkness or being in the darkness?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a really ancient spiritual practice, actually practiced by some tribes, the Kogiananda tribe and Brazil. And these indigenous tribes have sent their children into the dark for years. And those who survive come out and they say that they have another sense that they don't have if they were to be raised normally, right? So I was guiding some of these people in the dark through this initiation of going out, and I mean, it is black in there, like there's zero stimulation. And that's kind of the essence of it too, to go in and to really meet yourself when there is no stimulation. There's not even the nature to appreciate and to make you feel like grounded. It's just, you're going in there and you're connecting with your darkness, with the darkness, the void. And it is like this womb, because when is the last time that you were in this void, this total blackness? And it's in the womb. It's in our mother's womb that last time we really experienced that void-like space. So this is a whole other topic. I'm trying to stay focused with the point of why I brought this up. All right. So I had a client come in and was going through this darkness initiation, and he finally, in the dark, which ironically some people are like, oh my God, that's so scary. But actually, a lot of people feel the most safe they've ever felt in this dark room, where there's no, you lock yourself from the inside out. So it's not like we lock them in, but there's just this safe womb of a cave where like nothing's going to happen. And the melatonin in the body kicks up to like a whole other level in the first 2 days of the experience. So the body just relaxes so much. It's different for everyone, but can really experience this profound relaxation. And so this melatonin and this kind of safe feeling comes in. A lot of the times, it's very common, like 85% of the time, people start remembering these experiences, whether they're traumatic or beautiful, whatever it is, that they're like, oh my God, the subconscious starts to take over and they remember all these things. And I've had several clients that have remembered the moment that they left their body. Women remembering, oh my gosh, I chose to leave because it was not safe to experience that thing, that feeling. And so their process is about learning to essentially feel safe again with sensation. That sensation is safe, that feelings are safe. And it might sound a little basic of like, oh, they just need to learn that sensation is safe. But learning that, like having your body learn that process, as I'm sure you know as well, is such a journey. So it is this journey that I find myself on, guiding women to learn that these sensations, whatever it is, whether it's, pain, pleasure, like that these things are safe for the body to experience, and they actually bring a lot of clarity. Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know if I answered your question. I just went on a total tangent.
Yeah.
But about coming back to the body.
Yeah. Great. Because this is like exploring the edges together. And yeah, I'm really curious that you brought up this darkness retreat, because I've just, like a couple of weeks ago, came out of a 4-day vision quest in the dark. And I can so resonate with this experience of, this is where you go and you meet yourself. It's like there is no more distraction. So, and that definitely is like, that's like a connecting to the inner strength of, aha, here I am and I'm okay. And this is like, gives a sense of safety of, okay, I can do this. Well, yeah, what else could happen? In a way, it's like, what else could throw me off now if I can meet myself and be okay with myself? Because so that there is sort of a strong core in every woman and every man and every human being that has this capacity of, I mean, that's why we're here, right? It's like this, the capacity of being in this body. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And that comes with sensation, and that comes with being willing to actually have the experience, to actually be in an experience rather than in the idea of anything that comes in the future or whatnot. And
yeah. Yeah, and what you just said about the capacity to be in the body is really the essence of the work I do, of building capacity for that which wants to be created. You know, as I meet so many women that have these incredible, incredible ideas, and not just ideas, but like this fire for, it feels like little breadcrumbs of what they're here on this earth to create. And they're incredible things, like women with incredible gifts. And I feel so lucky also about the work that I do, because I get to meet women with incredible gifts and talents. And the sad, like really devastating part about this journey for so many women is realizing that they currently do not have the capacity to actually materialize and ground this idea and this vision in the current space that they're in. And that's a whole process of meeting reality of, wow, the way that my nervous system and my energy and my body is set up right now, it doesn't have the actual space to materialize this. And so a big part of the work that I do is actually helping a woman to clear out and build the capacity for the idea so that it can actually ground and land and materialize. And like I said, it can be a really devastating process. Like, have you ever had an idea or a project where you're like, yes, I want this, but the reality of your energy is like, oh my God, but how? How would this even happen?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, no shortage of ideas, and then really this pain of like, okay, great idea, but actually it's not a match for where I'm at and
Yeah.
what I can hold or what I can even start to create. And that doesn't mean I can't move into that direction, but it's also, yeah, it's really choosing. I think that's also choosing,
Big time.
taking the steps. The question that comes up for me as I listen to you is that intersection, or like you spoke also about, or you mentioned in our written conversation, the underworld of women. And I get this image of, there's this capacity. We chose to be here, if you want to choose that story, but we chose to be here in a human experience. And so we have the capacity to shine, to radiate, to create whatever, we're creators. But then there is this hidden aspect of the shadow world. And then there's this, what you mentioned, building out actually the material capacity or the energetic on the intersection point. So what do you have to say about, if I say that we've got the light side and the shadow side, the women's shadow? What do you know, or what have you experienced even yourself about that?
So I'm actually experiencing a lot of this right now, working on this with my coach at the moment. And one of the shadow principles, archetypes I'm working with at the moment, is the selfish woman. The selfish woman. And I'll speak for myself that I grew up seeing women do it all. My mom even had me by herself, essentially, like without a man. I mean, I was artificially inseminated. So she raised me by herself. She had a full-time job. She was an amazing mother. She built her house, like she traveled, like she did it all. And I saw other women doing it all too. The age of this kind of hyper independent, like just doing it all. And she's a caregiver as well. She's a nurse. She's an emergency room nurse. So I've also seen her every time anybody tells me, they're like, oh, your mother, she's an angel. She's an angel. And there's something to say about that of, okay, me seeing a woman caregive her entire life, give her basically her life to raising me, and to when she's not, she's caregiving for others, and just in doing it all, there's something about this selfishness that I never really saw in her. And I could also say that, okay, her doing it all was selfish, building her house and whatnot. it depends on the energetics of how she approached it. But I know that there were very few moments that I saw her and the women that also I grew up with of taking time for themselves, like buying themselves beautiful things, going on vacations for themselves and by themselves, And I think it's something incredibly deeply ingrained in our women's DNA of caregiving, loving, giving, nourishing. And it's a beautiful part of us. It's a beautiful part of me. Like, I am a really amazing nourisher. Like, people feel really held when I'm around. I'm a really great host. I enjoy it a lot of the times. And that shadow principle is that often I won't actually claim what I want if it's not in service on the outside to everyone else. So there has been a really deep initiation for myself and my work of being selfish. And it's still quite difficult. And I think there's a new definition of selfish as well, of embracing that kind of shadow archetype of, wait, what is selfish though? And there's so much to rewrite there as a woman, where as naturally as mothers, as lovers that we want to give, we want to nourish, but that often burns out. And then there's nothing left for us to nourish the gift that the seed that actually really wants to come through. Like, that is a really big act of selfishness in the best way. There is no way I would have created a business to the extent I have if I hadn't started to be quite selfish about it. I just had a client yesterday I work with a lot of healers, women with these gifts. And there's something with the healer wound as well that's with this, like, well, I have this gift, and so I'm obligated to help whoever needs it, and it's like, oof, there's some really big shadow stuff there playing out that feels almost obligated to give. If they have, I give. If I have, I give. And there's this guilt complex that comes in. So the shadow that I think a lot of women, and the journey that I'm on right now, is embracing this kind of new level of selfishness. And ironically, it's actually when I nourish this selfish seed, everyone benefits. But that's not a common thing I believe women are wired with growing up, of, wow, when I nourish myself, everyone benefits. When I say no to a lot of things, that yes benefits so many more people. And so I think that is one of the number one skills that myself and that a lot of the women that I help have such a difficulty but embracing, but is so powerful when they start to work with that no, so that they can say yes to the seed that's really begging for their attention. Yeah.
I love that. This is such a shift. I think this will make really a big cultural shift for the new cultures that are emerging, where women claim up more space and set boundaries and honor their authentic yes, which is in service to these seeds that have been quietly, that have been neglected, even, yes, that have been in the dark, and that are ready for sprouting through each woman that really goes, okay, I'm going to be selfish here. I'm going to look after this seed after myself, and then be real with that, instead of giving, burning out, having resentments, having all this other shadow world play out, hoping to get something, not getting it, so all of that stuff.
Yeah, there's one other little seedling coming in about the shadow that it reminds me of Anne Chloe. Actually, she really helped me embrace this arrogant woman, because when we talk about confusion and doubt with women, the opposite of that is what is arrogance, is like almost narcissistic, like, I know, and it kills me seeing my own self in the past, and still even sometimes today, and other women being like, I don't know. And it's really devastating. And I think a big part of that is the not embracing the shadow archetype of, like, I fucking know. I know, or I mean, I was taught like, yeah, be humble. Humble is when you're humble, you're up here. And I think there's also a new reframe of what is actually humility, and what is it actually to be this archetype that's like arrogant and selfish. And I think if more women express that in the world and kind of counterbalanced, there would be, and I think it's happening, actually. I think it's happening. But the biggest shadow archetype I see in our culture right now is actually the current president of the United States. And in my opinion, I think it's a big teacher of look at this shadow archetype. Like it's forcing, maybe not forcing everyone, because not everyone's taking it, but really asking that, for me at least, I see it as an invite to be like, look at all of the shadow principles that you have not embraced. And it's extreme, but I really think that's what's playing out right now in the world. That's a whole other topic, but it's a shadow. Yeah. It's a big shadow principle for sure.
Yes, and what I hear from all your shadow sharing is this, it's an invitation to look there. Yeah, so look there. What is it? What has not been witnessed? What needs to be witnessed? What needs to be embraced? What needs to be used for creation? Again, yeah, to be fully in the body. So we've covered a big area, and so we could only dip our toes into some of these questions, but I would love to come to a close with the question of what is one thing that a woman could practice that listens to this episode and says, okay, I want to embark on this journey. What is one exercise I could do to either stop my self-doubt or get out of my self-doubt, to not leave my body? Yeah, or whatever, wherever you think. It's like that's the first or one key practice to do.
Yeah. The biggest thing that comes through right now is make a mess, and learning to practice making a mess. And I like to paint it like you're a painter. And for any woman that's listening to this, you're a painter. And if you could just start throwing the paint onto your canvas today, just a little like, what would that be? How could you just make a little bit of a mess and throw the paint on the canvas to start just with one movement? And when we said earlier about slow is smooth and smooth is fast, to me, that is the best slow movement that you can do, that a woman can do, to start to get out of freeze and get out of her head. And I mean, talk about, like, we can do all these embodiment practices and they're amazing and they really help. And one of the best things to do is to actually take a small action. And whether it's like just for the art, just to start the process of making the art again. And I find when a woman starts to just throw that first paint splatter on her canvas, there is so much that opens up, because she realizes, oh my God, it doesn't have to be perfect. Oh my God, I can make a mess. Oh my God, okay, I can keep going. Like, okay, next one, and the next one, and the next one. And that is like guaranteed success, of just keep throwing paint and learning and teaching your body that it's safe to make a mess is it. That's the one thing that comes through.
Thank you, Bishop. Thank you for sharing so abundantly. And I will link your details so that women can find you if they want to work with you, if they have a business where they're stuck and they want some coaching and some nervous system upgrade. I hope they find you.
Yeah, me too. And I also want to say as well that also one of the biggest upgrades for women is to start working together around these things. There is so much that gets freed up when women can witness each other whether it's in a small group or just with another woman to co-create with, because there's so much that she reflects, and it loosens up so much creative energy, that collaboration, whether it's working with me in one of my groups or teaming up with another woman and saying, let's go. Even if you're not creating the same thing, there's so much magic there. I mean, most of my, I want to say, like, success or creativity has come from creating with another woman. Yeah.
Important hint. Thank you.
Imagine that you could become so radically alive that you would create not only the life that you love, but also the culture that comes through you that your being is designed to create. This is what this Agecast is about. This is what this Agecast aims to inspire in you as you listen to this right now. And this could be a daunting thing. And daunting is not a problem. Daunting simply means it's new, it's scary, and why not do it anyway? This is where evolution lies. Evolution is there where the fear is. So we're inviting you to join us on this journey and make it your own. You can do this by, keep diving into these free episodes, the episodes that we're gifting from a place of abundance and necessity. And you can also become a member, benefiting from some special content that we upload in the membership area. But really, the membership portal is for you to take more responsibility so that we can keep creating this content. And if you were willing to step even closer into the circle, you could join our in-person live offerings online. There are many transformative workshops and trainings that are on offer from various radically alive women across the globe. And you can find all of our offerings on our website, radicallyalivewomen.com. This Agecast is brought to you by Radically Alive Women, a team of women consisting currently of Julia Neumann, Annika Korsten, and Hannah Abuzara. See you soon.